I'd like to welcome you all to the Roundtable of March 20th. I'd like to start with a story, one of my favorites. 1941, a kid was born in Brooklyn. He had the toughest childhood I have ever heard of in my life. Born depressed? How the hell can you be born depressed? You had it pretty good before. How's that possible? Born with anxiety. Took it with him throughout childhood. Everything's scary. Socially retarded. By the time he got to Erasmus Hall High School, he was probably one of the most unpopular kids in the school. Mind you, two of the students were named Barbara Streisand and Bobby Fischer. That's a hell of a graduating class. But our hero, he looked in the mirror, and you know what he saw in that mirror? A loser. That's what he saw. He saw a loser. At his 16th birthday, parents bought him a guitar. At the same time, he saw Pete Seeger perform. This kind of inspired him a little bit. Maybe, just maybe, I can write music for a living. I know I won't be very good. I don't have any confidence in myself. In fact, I'll be lucky to make a tiny living writing music. But it's better than a real job. Even there, he didn't think he could do it. He took pre-med when he went to NYU as a fallback position in case music writing didn't work. But then, sent out a song to Jay and the Americans called Son A and Me. And they sang it. Not a song probably anyone in this room ever heard of, but Jay and the Americans were a big deal in the 1960s. So they sang the song. Now he had a hint. Maybe I can make it. I still look in the mirror and see a loser, but maybe I can make it. Then he wrote another song called I'm a Believer, which he sold to the Monkees. #1 hit, 6 weeks. Wait a minute. Maybe I actually can make a living writing music. Maybe I can. I'm not going to perform because the idea of even standing up in a room like this would give him panic attacks. He wasn't going to get up in front of people and perform. Well, there was a production assistant by the name of Marcia Murphy. She would become his second wife. She felt so bad for this kid. She felt horrible for this kid. And she sat him down in a chair. She said, I'm going to tell you a story that my Irish grandmother used to tell me. And I'm going to tell you the story of the way she told it to him. When you're born with 2 wolves inside of you. One wolf is a wolf of love, success, belief, humility, achievement. Second wolf, wolf of greed, jealousy, depression, hatred, ego. And she said, the second you open your eyes, the very second that you open your eyes, these wolves begin to fight. And they fight, and they fight, and they don't stop fighting until the day you die. Well, excitedly looked up at her and says, who wins the fight? And she said, the wolf you feed. What wolf are you feeding? I can tell you in my life, when anything went wrong, I made a remarkable discovery. I was feeding the wrong wolf. I didn't see it prospectively. You never see it prospectively. I saw it retrospectively. When I look back, it wasn't circumstances. It wasn't wrong turn in the street. It was I was feeding the wrong wolf. Well, our hero listened carefully to the story. And he started feeding the right wolf. Oh, it wasn't easy. And did he slip back to the wrong one? Many times. But more and more he focused on feeding the right wolf. Self-talk, neurolinguistics, it kept coming up again and again. He told himself in the mirror, I'm a winner, not a loser. I can write. I can even perform. What was unique about him as a music writer, he was extremely autobiographical. Wrote about himself all the time and his struggles. And the funny thing is, people missed it. They didn't see it in his words. I'd like to give you 2 lines. Did you ever read about a frog who dreamed of being a king and then became one? Well, except the name and a few other changes, if you talk about me, the story's the same one. And who is the frog who dreamed of being a king and then became one? Well, 60 years later, at 85 years of age with Parkinson's, he gets on a stage. He is the hottest ticket in the world, the great Neil Diamond. What wolf are you feeding? Our first speaker has spent much of his life feeding the right wolf. Obviously, Mike Deceive and his team, who were an original alumnus of DreamWorks, went out there in the field of animation. They were writing, they were directing, they were voicing. And they did this work for some of the greatest animated films in history. And they won 34 Emmys. 34 Emmys. Jesus Christ, folks. 34 Emmy Awards. Unbelievable. You don't get there without feeding the right wolf. Some of the studios they work for, those little tiny studios, Disney, Nickelodeon, Netflix, Paramount. What you're about to hear is one of the masters in his craft. And probably what he can teach you most is how to feed the right wolf. Mike, get up here.
Wow, what an introduction. That was the best $20 I ever spent. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I love presenting stuff. I love presenting our stuff because we love what we do. We love what we do, and we're always looking for friends to do it with. We built this company through really that spirit, right? I'll step you through and you see what I mean. I started out in commercials. I was directing 7-Up campaigns when I was very young. From that, I got a job on a show that became a massive hit, Beavis and Butthead. It was not a hit when we started. It was just a couple of ugly kids. And the executive producer at MTV said, do you want to direct this thing? And I was like, I don't even know what it is, but sure. And that was just a rocket for us. That was me and my partner in Baboon Animation. This company has been around since 1987, believe it or not. And eventually we were absorbed into MTV because we were directing 7 seasons of this show, and then we directed the movie. From that, I got drafted to DreamWorks, and we put Baboon away for a while because I worked for this gentleman, Jeffrey Katzenberg. He was our mentor, our tyrant, our demon, our angel. He catapulted my career so far forward, and I could have bit him on any given day. everyone was so frustrated with this guy. But what he did and what he was able to do is assemble the best talent that any ever studio ever did in the same place. And our joke was so that he could tell us to all shut up at the same time. He was a tough guy, but because of him, I met an amazing collection of the best people, and I got to work on all of these films. My writing partner, my directing partner, Mark Osborne, who went on to do Kung Fu Panda, and I created this thing called Monsters vs. Aliens together. I was a director, sequence writer on Madagascar. I was a script doctor on Shrek 2. I wrote the original story with Mark for Shrek Forever After. Didn't know they were going to make it, but years later saw it on the side of a bus. I'm like, oh, they made our idea. That's so exciting. So 6 films all in all that I got to really roll up my sleeves on and really get to meet the most amazing people. That's important because we still work with them to that day. When we talk about the 34 Emmys, then we could talk about the 4 Oscars and the 9 Oscar nominations. We are a collective of people. So when you put that all together, that's what we've all achieved, and we're all friends. Because what I realized one day, sitting in DreamWorks is, you know who's actually dreaming the DreamWorks dreams? It's us. It's this little group of us. Like, it's not more people than you guys at the table, right? It's a tiny team that is thinking it all up, making all the jokes, finding that stuff in your heart to tell that story, make that emotional moment that makes the audience cry. Like, we think about that stuff and we try to do it. My degree is in economics. I went to Cornell for economics. And when I came out, I was just like, I don't love this enough. I don't love this enough. And I actually kind of loved it. And I work with my dad. He's got a economic consulting firm. So I have a background in all of this, but my passion was making movies. So I put all my economic books in the alley, and I said, I'm just going to go to New York and get into cartoons. And because I did what I loved, I ended up here. And when I came out of there, I ended up with friends. This is really important. So your lead-in was perfect for what we're talking about here, because that's the most important thing. We're having fun every day. Is it tense sometimes? Do I lose my shit once in a while? Ask Gloria. No. And do we have fun? Yes, we have a lot of fun, and I made the right choice. I hope my daughter makes the right choice, because you can never go wrong if you love what you do. And when you have fun, other people can have fun with you. The door is open. So that's us. Now, an alliance we've created together is about the fact that the universe has changed. Okay, everybody knows AI, right? But when you apply AI to something you love, you get something very specific, right? What you're going to see is a venture that we built with the friends that we love, who are also the masters of their craft. We've only gotten better over the years, and we've all gone independent, right? Like, all my best friends are like, I did the studio thing, now I can be free to make my own stuff. And an AI comes along. What do you think that convergence is? It's an opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity. These are free agents. The best astronauts in the world are just all available. And that's why we call it Apollo, right? I'm going to get into that metaphor. I hope I don't beat that horse to death, but I really like this metaphor for what we're doing here, right? Because it speaks to things like the space race. It speaks to certain moments in time when everything changed, right? And that's what we're talking about here. These are, I'm going to tell you the end of the story first. This is a sound investment because of certain leverages, which you will understand a lot about once I step you through them. Some of them are more obvious than others. Some of them are just because of our specialized advantage here, because of our relationships and our skills, right? But when it comes down to it, it's well, these are some numbers that will make more sense when we get through it. I don't know how much time do we have for this presentation, because I could go deep into numbers here.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. All right. Well, we'll see how we do, because I can always share numbers with you later. I've got a tear sheet. You can look at the simple kind of stuff that'll put it in perspective from an investor's point of view. I'll tell you off the bat what this new venture is a blend between that talent pool, that group of us, and a very successful studio in Europe. Now, the last, do I have a, I'll just go back here for the hell of it. Okay. Baboon, for the last 20 years, after I'd left DreamWorks, I started putting these teams together and meeting television and feature film producers all around the world, right? And what we realized that was very, very strong was to use our services as a service model. So I have now 20 years of track record with Baboon, 20 profitable years, healthy profits, in the service side of things. We're not making originals, right? I have made a couple of originals, sold a couple shows, made them, mostly made in Europe. And lots of members of our teams have created shows. They go off, make the show, and then they come back with us, right? We're a club, right? Where everyone is papered individually to come and go as they please on a non-exclusive basis. And that's very strategically helpful, right? I'm working with directors and writers that I've known for 30 years and I've worked with for 30 years on Beavis and Butthead. I'll talk about Karen Disher as one example. She just sold a show back, she sold a feature film back at DreamWorks, my old stomping grounds, just last week. This is announced. She set up a new picture, right? So she's going to be going into that for a while, right? And she worked on 17 films at Blue Sky, which is the Ice Age studio, right? She worked on all the Ice Age films but the first, but our boss on Beavis made was the head of story on the original Ice Age, right? So that's kind of our crew. I don't want to overdo that, but I want to talk about this moment in time. I don't know, and it's low. The fact that it's low res is because it's low res, because this movie changed the universe, right? It's about a lamp and another lamp that's smaller than the first lamp. That doesn't sound so great, but you know who made this movie? A guy named John Lasseter, right? John Lasseter and 2 people made this. Team of 3 people took 6 months and made this thing that, if you're old enough to remember this, because I saw this in the theaters for the first time, because I was a computer kid. I was with the Apple IIc and the Apple IIe, and my dad had a big Wang, which we made a lot of jokes about. And I saw this thing and I was like, holy shit, it's real, it can happen. And sure enough, I'm going to show you this movie. You'll see how absolutely unimpressive it is, but let's just watch it. Let's just watch it. Okay, here's the movie.
Light.
Heavy.
Light.
Heavy.
It's very cute, right? Now it takes really smart people to know that you could turn a light toward the audience, and that's a character looking at camera. You relate to him. That's the dad and the little kid. And importantly, the little kid wins in the end. He kind of shows up the dad. There's a lot of psychology and heart to this that storytellers know. We love doing this, and we do it in whatever medium is available. Now, this was a new medium, right? And it led to, and it proved something that immediately let them raise the money. Pixar was a nobody company, right? It's a few nerds, little bit of capital. And they put together the capital to make Toy Story. Now, Toy Story was the first CG, the first computer animated feature film, the first one, right? The first rocket to the moon. And it caused this. Look at this. 1986. You see, this was our industry, the animation industry. Roger Rabbit was cool. There was, everything from Snow White to Pinocchio and on, right? It was fine. It was okay to be in it. I loved it. I did it, but I didn't see a big future. Then suddenly, just as I'm starting my career, this happens. Look at this. From 86 was when that cartoon came out, and boom. Now, the thing is, this moment in time is because CGI hit like a meteor. What do we have now? We're at a moment in time with small teams that possess the talent, the key ingredient that you need, and the skill and the experience, and we're at exactly that point in time with AI right now. That's really important to know. We're at the beginning of a new moonshot, a new race to the moon, a new space race. We are here today. It's gonna be not that many years, but in those years, this is a tremendous amount of money to be made, right? This is the time to make the real money in this by applying what you love to what you know is happening to the industry. And then after that, it does fine. It's fine. It's okay. Ups, downs, whatever, right? I think that's probably your COVID there. I don't know I'm not sure what causes it, but you want to be here, and we are here. We're here right here today, right? It's moving really quick. Everyone talks about like AI moves so much quicker than everything. Let me tell you, AI moves so much quicker than anything. So the speed of this in the number of years, I don't think that's going to be the same number of years. I don't think that's going to be a parallel. But if it is good, what's going to happen is a transformation. Now, the thing about this transformation is I want to show you something that maybe is comparable. This is different in some ways. This is also a low-res film you're going to see. But you're going to see this low-res, you see it in low-res for one interesting reason. I just got this sent to me on my phone yesterday, right? Our AI team finished this as a service job, right? It's a movie I wouldn't, it's a design style I wouldn't have chosen. It's fine. It's really, what I show it to you as is to say, that first movie is called Luxo Junior. This is our Luxo Junior in the sense of what we can achieve today with AI. And it's only one example. I'll show you a range of examples of what you can do with different three people, right? 3 people, 4 days gives you this, right? Now, and this is in high res, but I don't have the high res because it is hot off the presses. Wait, how do I do this? And I think we should just watch the whole thing because why not? You'll just see, just get a sense of this is where we are today and not tomorrow, right? Tomorrow is better and better and better. These tools advance all the time. So this is sort of a primordial, very simple, just a little taste of what we'll be able to do.
First mate! Sound the alarm! Storm brewing!
Close the masts! Secure the treasures!
Steady as she goes!
We got company! Enemy ship attacking!
With me, men!
ID you. That winged rat's been pecking around our food supplies.
Sorry, okay, boss. I am on it.
Up from that dream, right? Now those aren't real people. Those don't exist. This is all AI. This was 3 people, 4 days. You know what we handed the team? A 5-page script. That's all. That's the universe we are now living in. That's the universe we're now living in. It's I mean, I can't even believe it, but what I can do is harness it. What I can do is take strategic advantage of it and use the ability of this to finally, our team, we did all these movies for somebody else, for Jeffrey, right? For Jeffrey Katzenberg, right? We can now do these for ourselves, right? The storytelling ability is the thing that nobody else has. Everyone has this, right? I mean, not everyone knows how to use it. There's 2 things. Knowing how to operate that to get these results is a very, very advanced skill, because people know you have, is it Soma or Sora, things like that. There are apps you can just put in prompts and you get something amazing, right? Everyone knows you can't control it, and it does weird, funny stuff. It's a real art that a great army of young people have right now to train and kind of break the horse of AI and make it work for you, right? Like these things are kind of a wild horse, but there's a whole universe of young kids that are real prompt jockeys, right? And they tame that thing and make it do amazing things. But what amazing thing are we doing with it, right? That's the thing. That takes the real leaders. That takes the leadership. So let's look at some stuff. I'm going really conservative with these numbers, right? Because I think you can see from the difference between Luxo and that, or any movie you know today and this. When I told you these timelines, these numbers are very conservative. They're probably much better, but I'm not going to bet on that. I don't need to bet on that, right? The advantage is so great. We're going very, very, very safe. Every number I show you here is a very safe number, right? And part of the other reason, like this doesn't drop down to 1%, right? We're talking about production time and production cost, right? It doesn't drop down to 1% because we want to pay our top talent top dollar. We want a creative environment where the best of the best come and work and play and have fun together and make the best work and really commit to it. And you don't want to cheap out on that. Use the AI for your savings, but these are overall budget that takes into account that we're not going to touch the top people. And we're also not going to touch the actors and the composers. We want humans to do that. Very, very important. This is a differentiating point for us, right? And it's a real line in the sand. We have the best people. We are the best people, and we won't ever give that up. And that's why we're going to make the best movies at really, really improved prices. So that means your rate of return goes crazy, right? So now where's Hollywood in all this, right? I came back to New York because I love New York. I grew up in upstate New York. My family is here. I want to be where I want to be. Again, I just do what I love. That's my only rule. And that's the only thing that ever works. I mean, I've never tried anything else, so I don't know. But we've formed with these relationships with Europe, including with someone called my wife. So now I have a European foothold. My wife is Bulgarian. We've developed relationships, deep relationships with animation production all over the world. I'd say, including Asia, including China, including South America. These are studios that have been our clients for years. They've been our collaborators for years, right? And that's a strategic advantage no one has. I mean, our Rolodex is thousands of studios that I've met with, gotten to know, gotten to like, and hundreds of them that have been our clients over many years, right? That's us. So we have that. What has Hollywood got? They've got a lot of nerves right now. They got a lot of fear right now. They've got a lot of controversy, and they got a lot of protest, right? In Hollywood right now, AI is too hot to handle. It's too hot to touch. So they're very hesitant. That gives us a window of opportunity right now, right? eventually they're going to sneak it in, and eventually their things are going to transform. But Pixar, it's a culture of movie making that you're never going to turn over. Those three guys, Lasseter and his two friends, they're now a giant dinosaur that gets really, really angry if you try to make it do what it's not used to doing. We're not that at all. We're nimble, right? We're the Minutemen, right? And women. So forget Hollywood. We don't worry about Hollywood right now. I'm talking about who is our competition, not Hollywood. We've done a really, really deep search into this, right? About who the other guys are. All around, there are people doing impressive things. We all know this. You can't underestimate that, and I don't want to dismiss that. What I want to do is harness that, right? We've got people who are not organized, right? They don't have the relationships that we have. They don't have the talent base that we have. So no matter how good their teams are, they're not going to be able to make the stories that move people. And when you make stories that move people, that's when your box office goes up. And that's why your merchandise, importantly, goes way up. Because people want that, they want that Snoopy lunchbox. They want that thing to carry, they want that backpack of their favorite character. It's really, really important to emotionally connect and know how to do it. So that's why our team is important, right? But the people getting really good at it, they're scattered and multiple and available, right? There's effects companies. Effects companies, they're engine nerds, right? They're like wonderful, incredibly talented people that they're not trained in story. They're not trained in emotion. They're trained in making that water splash phenomenal, right? Like it's technical stuff. And I was an animator, by the way. I went from economist to animator to storyteller. So I've been in all of these roles, right? And I did hand-drawn special effects back when that was hand-drawn. Because I started in the 80s, and we were still on paper in those days, right? So I know all these jobs, right? And I've had most of these jobs. And the special effects people are different people. They're not your storytellers. They're not your dreamers of dreamers. They're not going to tell you a great story around the fireplace that makes you cry in the dark and you hope no one sees when you're having your beer at night. That's what we love to be and do. So they're not our competition. Are they available for us? Yes, right? We're already making alliances with the best special effects houses that are already using these tools, right? So this is component-based alliances, but I'll tell you why it's more than that. It's not just such a loose, this makes it sound like it's a loose bunch of Tinker Toys. Not that, and you'll see why. But it employs all of the best that's out there rather than competes with them. Who else is there? There's a lot of these kids doing amazing things with prompts. They're the prompt jockeys, right? They know exactly what to tell Nano Banana to make that incredible scene not come out with an extra arm, right? There's a lot of skill to that. That's a very specific skill, but it's an intense skill, but not a high level thinking skill, not a high level dreaming skill, right? It's a technician skill, right? It's breaking the horses, but it's not owning the ranch or dreaming the dreams, right? So there's a lot of them out there, right? Let's see if I can find the page for that. Okay, and then there's OpenAI is making their own movie themselves. Those of us on the outside are like, oh my God, are they doing it wrong? They're just doing it so wrong. First of all, you see, we'll get into this, but we think the optimal space to be in is 10 million and under budget movies. I'll show you the economics of that and why that's important. It's very important. They're making this movie in exactly the trench for return on investment. They're spending exactly the wrong amount of money on this. And who's the director of this $30 million feature film? A software engineer who thought of it, so they promoted him to director. 30 million. Yeah, don't get me started. So we're not worried about the software developers themselves. They don't know what they're doing. And it's fine because let them make the tools for us to use. We will be using all of their tools, right? Because they want us to, right? But they're not going to be our competition. So who's our competition? Okay, yeah, we talked about it. We've got the engineers and we got the art school kids. And nobody has put, so think of it like this. What is my next slide? Oh, and we are the astronauts. We've trained our whole life. We were the former jet pilots that broke the sound barrier. And now we are ready for that moon mission. And that's why we call this Apollo. That's why we call this Apollo, because we are the first people to put together these ingredients. We've talked about some of them. There's one more, which I promise I will tell you about, and it's a very important one. You cannot get to the moon without skilled astronauts. You don't want to put a bunch of art school kids up in the top of your rocket. They are not going to fly that thing to the moon successfully. They're going to like paint the inside of it and decorate it. Who knows what they're going to smoke up in there, dude. It's not going to happen, right? And you don't want a bunch of engineers doing it either, because they don't know how to make the brave moves, right? Because entertainment is all about taking risks. In our case, it's emotional risks. It's like not being afraid to just like do the thing that makes you go, oh my God, I'm crying and I hope no one sees me in the theater, right? Like that's really important. Engineers don't know how to go there, right? They don't know how to go there, and they're so useful on the ground in Cape Canaveral. You need them. We need them. We'll harness them. We'll make the most of all their amazing talent and all the amazing talent of those art school kids. We want that culture. We want both of those cultures, and they're not our competition. They're our second thing. So we've got you've got our personnel, you've got our astronauts leading. Now I want to talk about how much we looked into this. Like, I think what I do adds value. How much value? So we did a statistical analysis, right? We did a statistical analysis. 205 films. 205 films. We said, how much does it matter to have one bankable talent? And by bankable talent, we just said this. Is it a director of a known film, or the screenwriter of a known film, or any other one known reliable thing about that top creative team, right? Just one thing. Gives you a bump over 205 films of 40% return on investment, 40% improved return on investment just by having those guys. Now there's, again, we're talking about the 10 million and under range. There's a lot of people playing there right now. Let's step into the pre-AI world the way it has been till today. 10 million and under is very, very profitable, and I'll show you that in a second. If I can find where that slide is, it's a very, very good slide. Because the return on investment is great under 10. Then it drops off. There's troughs. There's another peak at 40. But 40, we don't want to risk that kind of a big money. We want to get it right. We can shoot for Mars, but let's get to the moon. We want to be the heroes who made it to the moon, right? The point I was making is that we have a statistically reliable bump to our ROI by having the team that we do have. And this is something about our team, right? We're talking about the character designers, the screenwriters, the heads of story, right? They're the ones who take the screenplay and they do that middle stage with storyboards. It's super fun, it's super cool, because you have to sketch it first, and it's done by hand, and it's very alive. We're not gonna skimp on that. We're not gonna come up with a bunch of AI storyboards, no. Because even this John Lasseter film, they storyboarded it carefully because they wanted to think about every emotion. Like that moment when that little lamp wiggles his butt in getting prepared to push the big thing. You can show that prep you want to think about that, think that through. Now, Jed Diffenderfer, look at the top right there. He's the head of story on something called K-Pop Demon Hunters. Just won the Oscar on Sunday. Just freaking won the Oscar. We're super proud of him. He's working on 2 projects with us right now. 2. He's working on a project with us for the Smurf Company, now called the Peyo Company. Peyo was the author of the original books. We're developing a reboot. I can't talk about the project, but it's a Smurf-related project. So we bring him in on this. He's also working on a European feature, kind of a ghost hunting feature I also can't tell you much about. But we work regularly, and on that same team was Karen Disher, who I told you about, with the 17 Blue Sky films, the Ice Age films and all that, who just set up the movie at DreamWorks. We work together all the time. It's not like, hey, I used to know these guys. I wonder if I called them, they'd be into it. No, this is an active thing that's happening now, right? And here's again, I've told you a lot about this. Alex Sokolow was one of the 2 screenwriters on the original Toy Story. He's one of our writing team. We developed feature film plots all the time. And again, this is service work. There are features out there being made all the time that we make better. That's our value to the industry. It's super, super rewarding because instead of getting yelled at by Katzenberg, make it even better than better. You know, these guys are like, thank you. You've made our movie better. And we're like, that's why we do this, right? So we're the good guys, right? We love it. And so Wreck-It Ralph, that is a great movie. I don't know if you've seen this movie. It is such a moving film because Wreck-It Ralph is the guy in the video game that his job is to smash everything. And Fix-It Felix is the little guy with the hammer that fixes it all. He's the good guy. Nobody likes Wreck-It Ralph. It's such a story, and he becomes a hero in the end. I get emotional. He becomes a hero in the end, and it has to do with a friendship with a little girl, which sounds kind of, I don't know, you have to handle that just right. That could be corny. It's not. It's beautiful. Sarah Silverman played the little girl. Vanellope von Schweepes, yes. And she wants to be a little race car girl, right? And there's a point in the movie that they don't pull punches, right? You got to know how to not pull the punches. Where Wreck-It Ralph has been convinced that that little go-kart they made together out of cookies in her cookie run game, right? He smashes it with his giant fist because he thinks he's saving his life because he was tricked. So he's betrayed her, just like deep in his heart. And that is the moment of the movie. I'm like, oh shit, they went there. That's so good, so good. And then, miraculously, the magic trick, the Houdini trick of these films is, how do you get out of that? You smashed the only friendship you had to bits with giant fists. It's genius. My friend Bill Schwab was the character designer. He's the one who came up with the giant fists for that, right? He was a character designer on Beavis and Butthead, right? We're still friends. He smashes the cookie that symbolizes their hope to tiny crumbs. And then the magic trick of great writing and great directing is the Houdini trick I call it, is they figure it out in the end and they ride to victory. They do. They fix that relationship against all odds. And that's what you really care about. You think it's about the dazzling stuff and the amazing stuff AI is going to do. It's really about that emotional thing. It's about that emotional ride, right? So that's what we love. And these are some of the other films. Here's some of the people, right? I talked about a few of them. Russell Marcus was the head of story on Full House, Married with Children, and Golden Girls, right? Real just like the best of the best, and we all just work together. Our main thing, like I said, is service to make international productions better than they are. But now, Rob Minkoff directed The Lion King, and also Peabody and Sherman. Deadpool, the rebooter of Deadpool, the person who made it into the character that became the movies, Joe Kelly. We're on a project with him right now. Also, and Rob Minkoff, that project is happening right now. These are the circles moving, and also another project right now with Brian Miller, who was the head of programming for Cartoon Network, brought us Powerpuff Girls, brought us Adventure Time. Just the best of the best. All these people want to. I don't know about Joe Kelly, but Rob and Brian are really excited to be part of this venture, right? So the point is, we're not signing contracts. We're looking for a $10 million investment, guys. Let's get that part out. I'm not going to blow it by giving these guys salaries. We bring them in selectively when we need them for a project, right? We're not keeping a staff on board. We'll waste all our money. You know, these guys are $1-2 million a year if you had to keep them for the whole thing. So that's project by project, which we can do because the timelines are so short now, are going to be shortened by AI, right? So those costs, even though I said we're not going to reduce those costs do reduce anyway because we keep those guys on board for 9 months instead of 36 months. That's a tremendous savings. So as a budget item, Rob Minkoff, when we put him on the first film that Rob's going to do, he directed The Lion King and he directed the first Apollo movie. I want him for our first one. We'll see who it's going to be, but we have any number of, we have a handful of directors of his caliber. He's going to be at a quarter his normal rate because we do it 4 times faster, right? If that makes sense. So I talked about our customer base. It's there. we get contacted regularly for the next service job. But okay, so let's talk about it. We've got the astronauts. We've got the team, right? The ground crew, the command central, all the guys with the pocket protectors, right? And all the guys out in the field in the jumpsuits and stuff like that. We got everybody. But what's the base, right? You need this base to be on very solid ground, right? So we thought about this and we're like, what is the best way to make this the least risky investment? You do not want to launch your rocket from swampland. You want it to be on bedrock. And even better if that bedrock is on bedrock. And that's what we looked for. So I reached out and I made an alliance with somebody who was thinking very much like me, someone who is very much like me. He's become my good friend in the industry, Dirk Hampel. He's built, it is arguably right now the most successful animation studio in Europe. It's in Spain. It's in the Canary Islands. It's that way because even though the Canary Islands aren't the center of Europe, he's attracted a best of the best production team, like the people who actually make the movie, the infrastructure, the base. He's built it from 0 to 180 employees, and the government loves him for it. He basically populated that Canary Island where Tenerife is, Tenerife, right? He just brought in all these people and their families, and they're like, thank you, Dirk. So they love him in Spain, and he's delivered, like me, his studio's pushing 20 years of service work, profitable every year. So we've got this new team, this new alliance operating in this solid base that's got a track record as good as ours. It's an amazing track record, right? Be Water Studio. I'll show you a little. Let me switch out of this, and I can show you their show reel. I think that'll be fun. Cartoons are more. It's more fun to watch cartoons, right? Okay, yeah. These are the service. Right now, they're making 4 service features at any given time. Their pipeline, their traditional animation pipeline, holds 4 feature films. They've got 4 feature films running. It's lovely stuff. You see, it's a variety of styles, right? And he's been really excited about. He's always, and I think it's okay to talk over this, right? I want to say his pipeline. Reason that I really bonded with him is his pipeline is the most tech forward and the most innovative. He was the first studio, and we know all the studios, right? I actually can't confess to not knowing what's happening inside of China always, but we work with several major studios in China, 3 of the biggest, right? But you never know. All I know is from the Western world and the rest of Asia, nobody before Dirk at Be Water Studios put together the idea to use game engine technology to make animated feature films. That's something people talked about. We all talked about it for 4 or 5 years. And he was just like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to freaking just go and do it. Here's your movie. And that's the kind of, and I'm like, dude, you did it. You did it. The obvious move that everyone was afraid to make. And it worked for him. He's a very smart strategist, and he's a German guy. He's not like super risk-taking in certain ways, right? He's just smart risk-taking, right? He's not wacky. He makes very smart, very bold moves. That's why I love him. So that's why this is our alliance. I don't know of a better studio to be as your bedrock, right? So is this thing still playing? Has it cycled or is it? Yes. Okay. Okay, and they love animation. These are some of the many projects. There's a lot more to this, and we've worked together on many projects successfully. We've done several films together where we've both been service. He's brought me in to rewrite the script, or our team to rewrite the script, that kind of thing. So that's how that works. That's our bedrock. Now, the other reason it's a bedrock is because the reason he's in Spain is because there are incredible tax incentives in Spain, because Spain is very ambitious. They see, there's been a bunch of major studios in Europe right now have collapsed. They've collapsed because they got over bloated and they started using the, you know, like France had a lot of, France and England, they sort of just overextended and collapsed. He's come in to get only stronger because the playing field has been reduced, right? And the reason Spain is because of the tax incentives, right? Where do we find this here? 50% tax rebate on average. 50%. It's 54% for the first X million, I don't remember, in a production, and it's 46% after that. It averages out to just about, it averages out to exactly 50% on a certain size budget. Basically, just think 50. So that's another point of leverage. Let me get out of here. Oh, that's another project. Let me go back to my thing. There it is, and I present here. So that's, how much time do I have left? 5 minutes, okay, perfect. 180 employees, top tier European studio. There is another layer to the bedrock, right? Right now, because Spain knows what's up and they see that France has fallen a bit, they've stepped up with a technology equity. Isn't it an equity grant? We'll check to see what the right words are. For any investment you put in to a tech company, and a new AI venture, Apollo is a tech company, right? It's not a movie, it's a tech studio, right? It's an animation studio. For anything that you put in, they match it 1 for 1. You know, up to 49.5% equity in the company, right? They're matching you. So this investment is massively leveraged. The 5 million you put in becomes 10 million. Now, if you go, we're keeping it at 5. We're raising 10 here. We're looking for a few good men and women to put the 10 together. Of that 5, we want to double the 5. And there's a reason for that. It's a little bit boring, but the reason is under 5, there's much less scrutiny. And because Dirk is very well connected with the grant givers, our odds are extremely good. There's a very short list of people applying for this grant, studios applying for this grant. So we're very well positioned to get the under 5. We don't really need that. That's the thing. We have all these points of leverage. Oh, there's the strategic advantage. Okay. I want to get into this. How are we structuring this? Well, you can't step out into the future without pants, right? So pants have 2 legs, right? We thought about this a lot. We tried this every way in models. We modeled this, right? With my dad's economic consulting firm, right, has been 40 years in Washington doing crunching the hard numbers for government, for industry. We're not a bunch of cartoonists or even studio owners that make the numbers. These are bona fide numbers, and we can get into all of that. I'd love for you guys to kick the tires on the numbers because we killed ourselves on this part of it. We really, really did. And what we realized is 2 things. First of all, Dirk already knows this. He's mostly service, right? Because service, and I'm service, right? Baboon has been service, Be Water's been service for all these years because it works. It's steady return on investment, steady income, steady profit every year, right? It's, you know, I've raised my family on this. It's worked and worked and worked. And that's where we want to start this. We want to be a service AI pipeline that in film 4 becomes an originals pipeline, right? Very important, that de-risks the whole thing tremendously. De-risks it tremendously because we know we can make those 20%, 30% margins, and that's not even in doubt because we have 15 to 20 years of history of doing exactly that, right? So that your cash flow is always going to be fine. Going to be build up cash. And then we make our 4th film will be in year 3, and that will be an original. Now, those, do I have the economics on those? Okay, we've talked about this. Combined client base. Yeah, his client base, their client base is as big as ours, right? So that's why we have a strong service side. And our lean, I talked about this, how, you know, the top talent, the most expensive talent comes in only by project, so it's not weighed down by that. Low budget films. Okay, I want you to see that under 10, that's where you want to be, and the further under 10, the better your ROI, right? And you can see the green is just how many people realize that in doing it, but the orange is the number, right? That's your return on investment. It gets better and better as you go down. So the smaller the investment, it's sort of obvious, but it's really, really juicy, right? So that's why we're doing the under 10. And then there's a bump off to the right that happens again, but we're not playing in that field. Okay, reduction, you talked about that. Dramatically improved ROI. Now look at this. I said that our MOIC was between 4 and a high fives. That's because we're blending that with the service, right? And the returns that you get are not a movie waterfall, right? We're not those guys with that risky film that they might not get finished. And where am I in the waterfall? And who's going to do the accounting? We're not doing that way. We're doing regular dividends from positive cash year by year. And as that positive cash build, because we've got the service business, right? And the profit of those, and none of it depends on the profit of those films. The service business is our bedrock, right? If that makes sense. And then your returns are very high, and they're as a dividend. And there will be rules to that. We're thinking of 50% of cash year by year comes out as dividends, and that's plenty for us. That still leaves plenty for us to have a 5-year strategy with a big payout at sale, right? Here's our production pipeline. It gives you a sense of the, this is 5 years out, the number of films we'll do at once. They overlap a bit, about 3 films at once. It's very modest. It's very easy for us. These are the leverages. These numbers aren't exactly accurate. This is just illustrative of how, I think that's a little juicy, but each of these things leverages we have all of these things. That's what's unique about us. People have some of these. Nobody has all of these. That's us, right? So this is our ask. 10 million, highly leveraged. We use it to build our pipeline. That's just initially, right? Then we use it to support the talent. That's itineratively. And then we expand our service, and then we do originals. We've covered all of this. I think I've said all of this. I think you guys get the idea. I've got numbers I can show you. And what we're doing right now is an early bird investment subscription, if that's the proper term for it. It's a commitment to be in the first investors, right? And that's for our idea is to do a small deposit that reserves you with a preferred dividend, a preferred rate of return on the dividend. We're going to work on the numbers, so that's a preferred number. If you're interested in being the first, this club, if you want to be those first members in this club, you'll get a preferred rate of return. And you just reserve your spot in it. But we're going to work quickly to do, I have the bank account is set up to and we can move that, we'll move that to escrow, and then we'll move it in the company as the company is being formed now, right? So this is a way we're moving very quickly, and we want you to be ready. We want everybody to be ready to move as we're setting up the company. We're working on that currently. Again, we're going to be the new Hollywood, and we're going to make the first original AI motion picture, fully AI pipeline. And we're going to make it with the great talent that made all those other great successes, right? So we welcome you on board. And that's my pitch. Guys, if you're interested, we're going to have a lot of fun together. That's all I can say. We're having a blast already. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.